Hey there people, Mr. D here. In this video we're going to be talking about solving linear inequalities and graphing our solutions. This is a skill that you have seen time and time again. This is just going to be a refresher that we'll build on later. So the first example, again, if you need to pause to write this down, pause to write it down, or if you have it printed out, you're all set. It says b is greater than or equal to -3. So what we want to do is on our number line down here, we want to represent all numbers that could possibly be greater than or equal to -3. Now you'll notice my number line does not have any sort of labeling. That means I have the freedom to put a -3 wherever I want. I'm going to say right there is -3. And if you really wanted to, you could fill out the rest of this, -1, 0, 1, 2, blah, 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 blah. Or go backwards, -4, -5. But you don't have to. Really, we just care about this value, okay? Now, there are two things we need to figure out. Is it going to be an empty circle or a filled-in circle? That will be determined by whether or not this thing has an underline. It does have an underline, which tells me it's going to be a filled-in circle. So we'll put a filled-in circle. And then we need the direction of shading. Well, our b value, our mysterious value, is going to be any number that is greater than or equal to -3. So any value that's bigger than -3. Well, that means I'd be shading in this direction, because all of these numbers on the number line represent a value that would be greater than -3, and since this dot is filled in, it includes the value of -3 itself. Little life hack, if you will, if your variable is on the left-hand side and you're confused on which way to shade, this inequality symbol almost makes like a little arrow telling you the direction of shading. So in this case, we'd shade to the right. All right, onward we go. Number 2 says -5 is greater than Q. Well, right off the bat, I can tell you folks, I'm not too thrilled that my variable's on the right-hand side. I like to see the variable on the left-hand side. This isn't an equal sign. I can't just flip-flop these things around all willy-nilly. I have to maintain the integrity of the inequality sign. So if I were to move Q to the other side and then -5 to the right, essentially flip-flop, I need to flip-flop that symbol as well. So Q is less than -5. If you think way back to when we probably first saw these when we were younger, and they talk about like a Pac-Man or an alligator eats the bigger number, if the alligator is eating the -5 here, it also needs to eat the -5 there. All right, so we'll throw a -5 somewhere on our number line. I chose there just because, why not? Hashtag YOLO. It does not have the little underline, so that means my circle is not going to be filled in. And this is every value less than, and the arrow's pointing to the left, so I'm going to go ahead and shade towards the left, including the arrow. So any value that falls on this number line in this shaded region would be a solution to that inequality. All right, next one, we have a little bit of arithmetic that is involved. So we need to solve this thing out as if it were an equal sign, but we have to pay attention to negatives. So if negatives make an appearance, we'll have to handle those by flipping the sign if at any point we multiply or divide by a negative. All right, so if I wanted to solve this, let me zoom in so I have more room to work here. Let's see, I'd subtract the 5 over, and now I've got -3x greater than 3. Then we would divide by the coefficient, in this case, -3. So those guys cancel, which is what we want. So I have just plain old x. Then on the other side, I'd have a -1. Now here's where we have to be careful. Because we're dividing by a negative, this symbol is going to have to reverse. So it's going to have to flip around. If you ever divide by a negative, that symbol has to flip around. All right, so now I've got x is less than -1. Let me clean up some of the highlighting. X is less than -1. We'll graph this just like we've been doing. I'll throw -1 somewhere on the number line. That's the only number I care about. You can put more on there, but why? We're going to have an empty circle because there's no underline here, and shading is going to go to the left. So empty circle, shading left, Shazam. All right, that's it. If If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck, have fun, be safe, roll tide.